Hi there YouTube, Extreme Trains here. So, to complete the motorized reviews of the 8th anniversary products, subject of course to me maybe one day acquiring that Day Out with Thomas merchandise, stay tuned, we'll see if I can find it, is this set, which I know a lot of other people have already reviewed, but I couldn't help review it as well. It's this one. It's the load barrel delivery set, which has been released in Australia for a couple of weeks now. Has been sitting next to my desk in the review pile, but as you may have seen on my community tab, I've been a bit unwell the last couple of weeks and haven't had the voice to make YouTube content. But here we are. This pack I'm really excited about. You would have seen in some earlier videos, I've done some videos recently about motorized stuff, and I've still got a couple more to talk to you about how this works, but I think this set is going to be the fantastic icing on the cake to have a video to talk about what's happened to the motorized range in the all engines go era. So, what are we waiting for? Let's do it. Alright, so here is the box, and you can see it in full screen now, and now of course I've come in closer and you can see that doesn't work. I've removed the Thomas because, as you will see in the next segment, I've compared him already to the other Thomases, but he is just attached with some string, so wouldn't be surprised if you see some of them stolen when you're out and about shopping for this. Again, we've got Thomas and Friends there, the big 80th logo, quite a fun, if a bit overly busy scene on the front. Really interesting they show all these other engines on there. That's something which I haven't seen a lot of sets do for quite some time. And you can come in closer, you can see it says other engines sold separately and subject to availability. So yeah, a little bit interesting that they have taken that approach. You can see we get a little picture of it there. We've got, again, Thomas with the little barcode. Barrel launching fun. Got the little piece diagram there that shows you what we get inside. Come around to the back, we have a bit of an explanation as to what's going on, and again we have lots of other engines. Pretty much the entire series is here, and you can see we've got two configurations of the track that you can make. So there's kind of that long and straight version, which is number one on the box, and then we've also got that, so that's kind of cool. Nice to see we've got some options. Otherwise we've got all of that legal blah blah, some adult assembly required. Come down to the bottom, yes, we do have the barcode. And otherwise, let's crack them open and take a look. So you would have seen that the Thomas was missing when we looked at the box, and that's because, you know, the movie magic, I filmed this before I have opened the box. But I've lined up in front of you here all four versions of the Motorized Thomas that I currently have in my collection. And we're starting here with the classic one, and as I've talked about in some of my other videos, the eyes on that first batch of classic one were a bit unhinged. We have here the greatest moments version of Thomas. That's got the white running board detail, it's got the buffer printing, and it's got this, I think, terrible looking weird water thingy on the side. And then we have here the version of the Greatest Moments Thomas that comes with the barrel loader set that we're looking at in this review. And so I just wanted to get it all clear with everyone so we could see the differences. And you'll see, and I, you know, talked about this a couple of times, there's not a lot of consistency in what's going on with how they're using the different faces that they've got here, because even though this is the same Thomas as the Greatest Moments pack in terms of we've got the buffer detail, we've got the water printing thing, it is actually a different facial expression, and you'll see here exactly what I mean. So you can see the Greatest Moments one, he's looking off to the side, whereas in the barrel loader, he is looking almost straight ahead. But I think the problem is his eyes, particularly the one on his left, which is our right, so this one here. And I don't know if you agree with me, so please let me know in the comments below. I think he looks a little bit cross-eyed. I think this eye is printed slightly too far in, and so he looks a little bit demented. And I think from some angles it looks worse than others. So I think from here it kind of looks okay, but when you look at him like this, he looks like he's cross-eyed. So, so disappointing, because I think this is a good face, but I don't love how far away the eyes are looking. I think this is a good face, but the eye printing is terrible, but although the newer versions of this seem to have fixed the eye printing problem. I think this is one of my favorites, but the eye, again, just a little bit cross-eyed. And then also you can see right here on the end, I've also brought in the Talking Thomas, who you can see is a larger unit with a much brighter red color as well. I really wish that he had the white running board, because then I think he would be probably almost perfect. And you can see his face again is kind of the mirror opposite of the Greatest Moments one. It's essentially another version of this face with some thicker eyebrows and equally dodgy printing. So yeah, you can get a sense of what all the different things are happening with this world of these motorized Thomases. So yes, the one in the set that we're looking at today is this one. I think it's a good one in terms of it's got the white running board detail, but it's got what I think is overall, I prefer this face to this face, but I think unfortunately it's just a little bit cross-eyed, which is slightly annoying. But that is not a me problem. I have been noticing that on every single review that I've seen of this set, on every single version I've seen on the shelves, on all the online photos. So it's clearly come out of the machine with this little bit of cross-eyedness happening. It might just be me that's seen it. I haven't really seen many other people talking about it, but for me, eye placement is really important, and it's part of why, for example, the little Thomas up the back there, I don't love him, because I really don't like how high his eyes are. There's just something not quite right about them. So I'm very excited for the Ruby version of that Thomas, who should be arriving next week. But that is for a separate video. Let's get back to the barrel loader set in the other room, where by now the power of movie magic, it will be set up and ready to play. Let's do it. So we've emptied out all the pieces here. You can see there's actually quite a few. There's the bell, particularly that make up the station, which is interesting, and some very big, colorful instructions, which have actually been updated. So we do have the picture of the new Thomas here. I have loaded the Thomas up with batteries now. This is the one from this set. He's ready to go. Excellent. And then very quickly, before I go into assembly, let's take a look at the little truck. So the truck is something that a lot of people have talked about. You'll see them in other reviews. It is a very specialized piece. It's a longer truck, longer body than the normal trucks. And essentially the way it works is you load a barrel in and you press it and it locks in. Then there's a little switch mechanism here on the bottom that when it runs over the special track, will activate the spring feature. So yeah, it is a pretty specialized piece of rolling stock. Yeah, it's interesting. We're going to see how it works. I have some thoughts about this concept of a set in general, but let's put this together first before we do that. We've got some barrels in here, as well as some little flag details. There's the other barrel that you see on the box. And then we have a sticker sheet. I'll try and work out where these go and put them on. Warning sheet, that is fine. And then, yes, we do have this piece of felt that comes with it too, which is the tunnel, which I know made some people a bit upset. But we'll see what that's like when it's all together. All right, I will be right back.
A few moments later.
I have managed to set up almost all of this layout, except for one thing, and it's what I call a critical fail. There's very few things that happen, I think, with toys which are a big problem, but this is a critical fail. This is a critical piece of the set. I mean, all the pieces are critical, but it's a specialized piece in particular. And mine did not come out of the factory correctly, and I will show you what I mean. So you can see here that I have destroyed this part with some scissors, and that is entirely intentional, because what actually has happened is, if you have a look at other sections which receive to hook the track in, there's quite a big gap. There's a big indent, like a spot for the track. What's happened on mine is that indent was actually never produced. So it didn't come out of the mold. I'm trying to show you it. Yeah. You can see that part is very thick. I've tried to scrape it down, but you can see this section has been filled with plastic. And so even with me having cut this bottom off, this part doesn't actually connect to any other piece of track. What I've done is, by cutting off that bottom little section, essentially what it means is it will semi-connect. And I've talked about it before, I hate the Trackmaster 2-track connection system. I think it's so annoying. So if I do this part will go in fine, but you can see here it doesn't go in. And yeah, it looks like this. Huge bump section. You can see they're not sitting flat, and that is because there is not any space under this rail for that clip to go into. So this was the best I could do to make this work. But I was sitting there trying to push these two pieces together, being like, why are they connecting? Why aren't they connecting? And that's the kind of thing which, imagine, that's Christmas. That's a ruining Christmas kind of fail, Mattel. It's unacceptable. It's like having a dead engine. If you can't put the track together, literally, if you cannot put the track together, especially if you cannot put the track together when you have a specialized piece like this, that is an instant fail. And it's the kind of thing where if you buy this online, good luck. Even if you buy it in store, trying to take this back to a store and be like, oh, the molding of this piece is actually not right, and therefore the tracks don't connect together, you're going to sound like a crazy person. You know, so it's one thing if there's little bits and pieces here which aren't quite finished right, or paint pieces missing or whatever. But that is an epic fail. Let's see if the trains work on it. I suspect they might derail, but I don't get cranky very often, but this is really cranky because this is an 80th anniversary set. It's an $100 full price Australian set, and I've had to destroy the track to get it to connect at all, and it still is not a proper connection. As you can see, there's still quite a big ridge there between those two parts, which are not properly connected together. However, that aside, you can get a sense of the track, and you've probably seen this before. It is essentially like a little loop with a figure 8 in it. I was surprised how much plastic ended up being in the Vicarstown station thingy to make this big bell mechanism and all these different parts. Some cute stickers on here, for example, these ones telling you that you have to be going this direction, and you'll see that's because the little actuator for the barrel car is here on the track. This is a very cool turntable. It's nice to see that, although it is weird that in the default configuration you don't get any like buffers or something to go here. I think that's a little bit weird. Same as I think it's a bit weird that you don't get anything to plug in those little holes. But yeah, it's a cool part. It's a little bit disappointing that the way it connects to the 3 other station tracks is via a dead end. So like this, like the only way you can get into those tracks is if you go all the way around the turntable and then you come back out, and there's no stop tracks in the actual station itself, which I think is a little bit unfortunate. There are like built-in little stop thingies, but they're not like, you can't put them up and down. So it's a bit weird the way they've done that, and the fact you can't remove these buffers too. I think these being removable parts would have been much better, giving you a lot more options to expand in the future. Otherwise, you've got the little shed over there with the stop function. You've got this little bridge. They're all fine. They don't have a particularly big Sodor feel. Like this bridge doesn't feel particularly Sodor, and I mean just because we've never really seen a bridge like that before. I know lots of people were quite unhappy with the different colored tracks. I get you. I'm with you. I don't think it's terrible, but for example, why is this piece red? It's the only piece that is red, and it's the piece that doesn't even work properly. Yeah, so it's a little bit unusual, but let's get Thomas on here and have a crack. All right, I've got it on the wider angle camera lens. We're going to try this barrel situation again. So I'll reset the barrel. Here we go. And he's going the right direction, and let's just see what happens. Oh, yep, there you go. Okay, it worked, and then you pull this off, and the barrel rolls down the bottom. And meanwhile, he's derailed over there. This is truly an exciting playset. I'm gonna just reset that. Yeah, so I'm so far not super impressed by how this set actually plays. I think it's a nice layout. I think there's some nice features. I love the big station. I love the turntable. But in terms of actually the barrels being an effective playset, yeah, I'm not sold. Let's try again, shall we? And see what happens. All right, that's in. All right, here we go. Wow, okay. Up, and he's derailed over there as well again. What is going on? I thought this section with the broken track was going to be a problem, but no, it's over there at that tunnel. How weird. I put Thomas back on the track. I've got him on the stop. I have loaded up another barrel. Let's see how he goes. Through the little tunnel there, and let's see if we can do it this time. There you go. Okay, so sometimes it works, but other times it doesn't. And you can see that the barrel actually again got stuck here. So, yeah, look, it's weird. It's a weird set. There's just so much emphasis placed on that barrel function, and it's just very underwhelming. It's also odd to me there's no way to load the barrels. Like, we do have 2 stop tracks, but there's not even, like, a pretend loader anywhere. You're just supposed to the barrel's just supposed to go in, you know? Yeah, I don't love that. Up, and he's derailed again. What is going on? So the more I play with this set, the more disappointed I am in it. Let me just show you something that's happening with Percy. So I've got Percy here with some mail trucks. And, well, just see for yourself. Literally every single time I run Percy on that section of track, he just does that. I can't work out if there's something wrong with the track. It's put together properly, but he just insists on tipping over. If anyone else wants to explain to me why that's happening, I'd love to know. So, yeah, there's a problem there. I don't know what it is, but that's not working. And then the other thing that I think is a huge disappointment about this set is it only works in one direction. And what I mean by that is that, yes, the specific barrel launching feature only works in one direction because there's little pogo pins. And here we go. Yep, see? He's done it again. I'll just talk over him. This section of track, this section of track which was causing me so much rage, because I think it's so bad, and I'm absolutely going to be pulling it out after this review to make this set actually work, or replacing it with just a normal switch. It's not a normal switch, so you can't switch it so that when the engine is coming this way, they actually run onto the track. They just run straight off onto the ramp. So, again, like, why did they not put a switch on this section? It makes no sense. You could have put a switch on this section, and then it would have been much more useful in other layouts. So, yeah, unfortunately, this set to me is... It encapsulates everything that has been naffed about the new merchandise for this year. It seems conceptually interesting, but, you know, you have all of this time and money and plastic and, you know, this specialized truck, you know, for this barrel loading feature, which half the time doesn't even work properly. And it doesn't have you have to manually reload it every time. We've got this fantastic turntable that, you know, can fit an engine or a tender engine, but then it runs into these weird dead-end sidings that you can't actually do anything with. We've got things like this, which is missing, like there's nothing put in there. There's nothing put in there. Like, it just, you know, this felt thing, I mean, I think it's fine. I don't hate it, but, you know, it's obviously cheap. And then you have things like this piece of track, which didn't work and is also specialized. Like, I don't know. It just feels to me like an interesting concept that was just just terribly executed. Why did we need this? Why did we need this barrel loader set? This barrel, like, what was the point? We could have just had a Knapford station, and you could still make one. You could pull these pieces off. You could pull off that bell, and you'd have a reasonable looking Knapford station. Sorry, not Knapford. Vickerstown, I think this is supposed to be. And we could have just had that. And we could have just had the set. We could have had this nice turntable. Could have not worried about all this mechanism. And just had a nice set. I genuinely think this bell thing adds nothing to the set. And it makes it work worse because of these pieces, because of this piece, because of the faffiness of it. I still have no idea what's going on over there with Percy either. So that's just random. But also concerning, given his pigeon on the box is working on this set. And he just is derailing every single time. So, yeah, I don't think I recommend this set, to be honest. And I'm going to talk about some observations I made about Trackmaster stuff in my upcoming video. But yeah, this one to me, overall, I don't think I recommend it. I mean, the Thomas is nice, as I talked about, but I'm not super impressed. It's particularly given how good a lot of the other stuff is. This just really feels like the culmination of missed opportunity. And some weird decision-making processes. But maybe that's just me being overly negative. I'll get some footage now of it just running around to add to the end of the video. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below.